We've got just 3 more seasons to play in this Youth Academy Challenge save with Pogon over in Poland, and we are once again hoping to win the Ekstraklasa. Obviously, last season we did not manage to do that. Lech were the eventual champions, but I'm hoping we can get back to where we were and at the top of the table. Also, we're in the Champions League, Polish FA Cup and the Polish Super Cup, and I'm hoping we win the Polish FA Cup and Super Cup. I feel like if we get even into the Champions League group stage, that's kind of good. If we manage to go any further than that, that's just a bit of a bonus. And just to remind you, in Season 8, we are locking in 5 players minimum who have come through our youth intakes over the past 7 seasons. And any player that is currently over the age of 22 at the start of the season will not be allowed to be locked into position. It doesn't mean they can't play, but it means they do not count towards the 5 minimum, which means Krzysztof Mucha, he's now too old. But luckily, Goralski, not quite there yet. This will be his last season locked into the starting 11. Obviously, on the 1st of July, the transfer window is already open, and we've done no business so far. But we have released one of our youth players, and that is Mateusz Pazczuk. He's not a player who's actually played for us, and I don't think he's any good. Not that this really makes too much of a difference. We've got £45 million to spend from a transfer budget perspective. £762,000 per week wage budget. We are spending not even £200,000 per week. If we wanted to, we could Man City this squad, like, immediately. Because I imagine, I mean, we're not going to do this, but I imagine we can bump that transfer budget up 65 million and still have £350,000 a week to spend. We're not going to do it. We don't need to do it because we're trying to take players from our youth intakes and turn them into world-class footballers. Let's jump to the end of the summer transfer window. We can see any new players that have joined the club, and then we'll also take a look at the 5 players that we are locking in for Season 8. So it's the 3rd of September, and we have sold Robert Ferreiro. He has gone to Mallorca, and that is partially because we don't really play him, and he's gone for a decent fee as well. £2.3 million, potentially going up to 2.9, and a nice hefty sell-on as well. But he's not the only player to leave. He's the biggest name player, I guess, to leave. We've also sold Anthony Klakowski. He has left. He's gone to Apoel Limassol in Cyprus, I'm going to say, and he has cost £400,000. One of our youth intakes has gone on a permanent deal to Lech as well. Jakub Mandris has left the club. The reason why we've done this is because I don't think we were going to ever play him. And we've got £350,000 potentially going to 475 and a nice hefty sell-on as well. On loan last season in the 2nd tier. He's gone on loan again this season to the 2nd tier as well. And Vahan has left the club. He has moved over to Slovan Bratislava on a free transfer. 222 league appearances, scoring 10 in his final season as well. But he was out of contract. He's also 31, so he's not old, but he's kind of getting to that point where you think maybe we can kind of replace him. And obviously we've got our own players coming through youth intakes that will be replacing him anyway. So Vahan has left the club. We have brought in one player though, and he was weirdly cheap. For £245,000, we have signed Italian right-back and centre-back, technically, although he's definitely a right-back, Nicola Cipriani from Bayern. He's played twice for Bayern, 30 times for their second team. He's cost nothing, really, but I think he's good. I think he's a really good player. I imagine he's one of those people that, for Bayern, they've got lots of good right-backs, so he was never going to get playing for them, and they just wanted him out of the club, and we were the first team to come in for him. And that is it for transfers. We've obviously loaned out some players as well. Rydzak going on loan. We've loaned out Mark Idris to Cordoba because basically he's not going to play for us. Watowski, Saigan and Mazrak have all gone out on loan in towards Poland still. I believe they're all still in Poland. And anyone else, a couple of more players down the bottom there also going out on loan. The Ekstraklasa season has started off ridiculously well. Currently top of the table, 5 wins, 2 draws, 0 defeats, a positive 20 goal difference. So we've won some games by ridiculous margins by the looks of it. 3-1 against Mota, 4-1 against Jagiellonia, 5-1 against Radomiak, 5-0 against Rakow, and a 7-1 against Rozovia, and a couple of draws as well, both 1-0 against Lechia and Lech. Annoyingly, we did get knocked out of the Champions League qualifiers against Austria Vienna, which is kind of frustrating, but it means we're now into the Europa Conference League. Not Europa Conference League, the Europa League. Yes, the actual Europa League, and we are seeded-ish. We are 9th. We are almost top seeds for this competition. We are just outside of that in 9th place. So we're one of the better teams. I would expect, if not, let's say, we'll hope, not expect, but I'd hope we are good enough to finish in the top 8. I expect we should be getting through the group stage. Also, we didn't win the Polish Super Cup. We lost 3-2 against Lech. So, yeah, that's kind of annoying. But I guess that's not what we want to take a look at right now. Right now, we want to take a look at the players who are going to be playing in our Season 8. What 5 players have we locked in? Mateusz Wolski keeps his place in defence, but this will be his last season being able to be locked into the starting 11 because he will be 22 come the start of Season 9, but he stays there for now. Similarly is Piotr Goralski. He is going to be turning 22 towards the end of the season. In fact, towards Christmas, he's going to be turning 22, and once he does that, he will not be able to be locked in for Season 9, but he'll be getting his final season as that attacking midfielder. But I've already planned in my head, if we don't lock in a left winger, a centre-back, and an attacking midfielder for the final 2 seasons, Goralski, Mucha, and Wazowski can still play. Leading the line for what will be a 3rd season is Jan Kmicic, who's been very, very good so far. 20 years of age, so we've still got a couple years left for Kmicic to still get some first-team football. Since he broke into the starting 11 in that season there, he's been utterly ridiculous. Started this season quite well. Radoslaw Zak will keep his place in the starting 11. Obviously, last season, this was a bit of a risk, but it was a risk that kind of paid off. 33 appearances, 2 goals, 7 assists last year. Already playing 7 in the league and getting a couple of assists as well. Zach, I think, is going to be very, very good. My coaches are slowly coming around to this. If you remember last season, I believe, or the season before when he came through the youth intakes, they said 2.5-star current ability or potential ability, and I didn't believe it because his mental numbers were so good, and he's kind of proving me right, which is very nice to see. And we've got a new player starting in right wing, and he's 15 and not very good. I've done another risk. It worked so well with Zach. We're trying it with Jasinski. Now, Jasinski is the opposite end of the spectrum to Zach. Zach, my coaches did not think he was very good. However, with Jasinski, my coaches do think he's very good, and I'm not convinced. So, I'm going to try and prove them right and me wrong. That's what I'm going to try and do. He's very good physically. Acceleration is ridiculous at 16. Pace at 14. Agility, 15 as well. Good numbers there. Mentally, not horrendous. Lots of 10s in there. Quite a few 7s as well, though. Technically, not amazing. 7s, 8s all over the place. 9 for dribbling, 11 for crossing, and 11 for finishing. So he's going to be playing a season on that right-hand side. In fact, I'm assuming, I'm not committed to this, but I'm assuming he's going to be playing 3 seasons on that right-hand side. By the time he finishes, or we finish, he's going to be, 18, if that? He's a child. He's a literal child. So this is what our starting 11 looks like, or our starting 5. Wolski in defence, Zach, Jasinski, Goralski, and Kmicic leading the lines. If we have a look at the squad very quickly, sorting by starred players, Mucha is a starred player still at the club, but he is over the age of 22, so he's not locked in. But you'll probably have spotted we didn't lock in a left winger, so that is fine. I believe Mucha might be the only one still at the club. Yes, it is only Christoph Mucha we need to worry about. Next season, however, it becomes a bit more of an issue. Wolski, Goralski, both of those will also miss. So we're going to be down 3 players from our best 11, technically. And then even the season after that, we're going to be missing Zenko. Not that he's any good. Kmicic as well will be missing as well. Saigan, we don't really play Saigan. So we should be okay. Come season 10, we should still be fine. But we're going to be kind of risking it. I'm wondering whether Ginter might end up needing to get played at some point, just because I'm not going to want to lock in a striker. For season 9, or season 10, sorry, I'm not going to want to lock in a striker. Kmicic will be too old, but he should still be good enough to be our number 1 striker. Mucha, we don't want to lock in a left winger. We don't want to lock in an attacker midfielder for Goralski. We don't really want to lock in a centre-back for Wolski. It means we might need to lock in fullbacks, a right winger, a goalkeeper, and defence midfielders for season 10. But we are not at season 10. We're on season 8 at the moment. We need to see how well things go. And obviously, we've got 2 competitions that we want to win. Technically, we want to win the Europa League, but I feel like we're never going to do that. Just for my own sanity as well, Patrick Kluivert still as my head of youth development. So we've not lost our head of youth development at the moment. I said at the moment as if I'm expecting to lose him. I don't want to lose Patrick Kluivert, but he's still here, okay? So now we've got all that out of the way, let's jump forward to the start of April. We can see what type of youth intake Patrick Kluivert brings to the club, and are we going to get ourselves a golden generation, or is it just going to be a whole bunch of junk once again? I've got to this part of the video and I've realised I've ruined it by giving away the title of the video, but we've got a golden generation. We've got a golden generation. Patrick Kluivert has taken 2 seasons to get us a golden generation of Polish footballers. So we're going to take a look. We've actually starred 8 players, which I think is unprecedented for the amount of players that we normally star. Also, look at the positions. Defensive midfielder, centre-back, defensive midfielder, left-back, right-back, central midfielder, centre-back, and even a goalkeeper in Damian Pelek. Now, I've got 4 of these players in mind I think will be very good, but we're going to take a look at all 8 of them. So Anthony Ozlowski is first up. Defensive midfielder, actually looks pretty good. Technically, lots of 6s and lots of 8s, which is kind of weird looking, but he's all right. He's not bad. Premek Goron is next up, and I believe he could be very good. And I'm basing this on the fact of 20 determination and 18 bravery, and he's only 15. I think Goron could be a very good player, which, as I was saying earlier about Season 10, Goron might be playing from Season 9. Next up, moving slightly further up the pitch into the defensive midfield role, is Marcel Andruski. Again, another player mentally looks really, really good. I've got kind of high hopes for him. What's kind of setting me off and throwing me off from this guy is more our formation. He's got lots of passing and technique, but we kind of played slightly more defensive football. I think he's more suited for more attacking football. But, you never. I mean, he's 16. He's 16. We can retrain him. We can do all sorts of things. We've also got ourselves a decent left-back and possibly a central midfielder in Dominic Sekot. Not convinced too much on him. I've kind of starred him because of the coaches. 4-star potential, ability, physically, mentally, lots of 11s all over the place. Technically as well, a couple of 11s in there. Technically lets him down, mentally as well. He's got some poor numbers, particularly determination is a big one for me. I like to have a nice high determination, a decent work rate as well, decent teamwork. It's kind of lacking, but like I said, with most of the other players, he's only 15. Moving from left back to right back, we have Dawid Saminsky or Simansky, not quite sure. He is 15 years of age. He's actually looked quite good, but also doesn't look quite good. I'm confused by this guy. He's not one of the ones that I've earmarked for great success, but I don't think he's going to be particularly bad either. And now the final 3 I think are going to be very, very good for us. Patrick Mahaj, not quite sure. Mentally, just look at those numbers. Look at those numbers. 16 determination. He's got 14 teamwork, 13 vision, 9 work rate, a little bit on the low side, but obviously still a little baby boy, so he's still got time to grow. Composure and decisions of 12 as well is quite good. Technically, passing and technique's also good. So I think Patrick Mahaj could be going places. Also, not a clue how to say that name. And alongside Goron, we have Tomasz Matajic, could be his name. He's 16 years of age, centre-back. I think Goron and Matajic could be central defensive partners in the Poland national side. I've said it out loud. They're 15 and 16 years of age. I think he's going to be world class. I'm basing this off the fact that his valuation is 3 million. 3 million's a lot for a 16-year-old, okay? So I feel like there's definitely something going on there. Mentally, got some decent numbers. 19 bravery is pretty good. Technically as well, for a 16-year-old, having 13 tackling, 11 heading is actually pretty good. Physically, got some reasonable numbers, but we're not expecting our centre-backs to be running around all over the place. He's 6'2", 13 jumping reach. Tomasz, I think, could be very good. And is this our new number 1 goalkeeper? Damian Pelek, 16 years old. His value goes up to £1.2 million, which says to me that he is going to be pretty decent. Natural fitness of 16. Do you need that for a goalkeeper? Probably not. Mentally, very, very good numbers. 16 determination, 13 concentration to me. Those are important for a goalkeeper. Leadership of 14. Do you need a goalkeeper to be high in leadership? If we do, we've got one, which is good to see. Goalkeeping as well. Aerial reach, handling, punching tendency, I'm not sure whether that's a good thing actually, and reflexes all in the yellow, in the double figures. A few other numbers as well, just outside command of area, communication, kicking one-on-ones, passing, all on 8s and 9s. I think Damian Pelek could be replacing Ginter as our number 1 goalkeeper for Season 10. Or Season 9, probably not Season 9. I think we'll stick with who we've got at the moment. So yeah, Patrick Kluivert has he's produced a golden generation of footballers, and I'm excited. I'm kind of annoyed that it's come so late on in the save. If this came through maybe like Season 4 or 5, we would probably see them blossom to their full ability in this save. We will be doing a video, which will be 5 years in the future. So after technically 15 seasons, we'll see how well some of these players have got on. So some of them, like Matajuk and so on, it's going to be, 7 years, I think, 7 or 8 years into the future. So they're only going to be like 24, 25. They'll actually be 23 because I can't do maths. Now we've got all that excitement out of the way, let's get back to business and take a look at what is going on in various competitions. So in the Extraclasa, top of the table with 20 wins. Have we lost a game? We've lost 4 matches in total, drawn just the 2 at the start, and then 20 wins in total. A 9-2 victory against Rakow. We like to score goals, don't we? Kamishik, top scorer with 25. In the Europa League, we get knocked out by Spurs in the round of 16. So losing 2-1, 6-3 on aggregate. We did get past Braga, 6-5 on aggregate in the league phase. Down in 15th. I would have liked to have been higher. beating FC Rapid, beating Torino, and Zrinski, drawing with Apoel, Monaco and Bruges. Drawing with Apoel, not a good result, is it? And then losing against PAOK and PSV. Arguably, we should have beaten PAOK as well, considering they finished down in 28th. But we are also still in the Polish FA Cup against Slask, who are an extra class side. Cracovia and Rakow are the other two teams in the semi-final, so I'm hoping we can win this one again. We've won it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times out of 7 so far. Can we make it 6 out of 8? Well, we are going to find out as we jump forward to the end of the season, and we are going to see what happens in the FA Cup first. We do make it 6 wins out of 8 as we beat Cracovia 3-2 in the final. So we got past Slask 6-1. We absolutely battered them. And then, beating Cracovia 3-2 in the final. But also, we have won the extra class, which kind of was never in any doubt at all. Legia, 10 points behind, 12 points Lechia were behind, and then 19 points was Rakow. So it's kind of a 1 or 2 team kind of league at the moment. Although Lech won it last year, and then they were, 24 points off winning it this year. Something bad happened for them to lose 10 games. So let's take a look at the 5 players that we locked in first of all. Mateusz Wolski, now 22, so the final season is over for him. He will have to basically get in there on merit at this point. He's done well. I mean, he always does do well. He's very good mentally. Mentally, he's a very good footballer. Technically, he actually isn't amazing, is he? But the mental numbers are there that kind of allows him to do quite well. I wonder whether he's actually going to be good enough to play for us next year, because we've got some pretty good centre-backs. We've got Winther, and there's another Polish guy who's young, who didn't come through our youth intake. So maybe Wolski might not get any game time. Moving further up the pitch into midfield, Radoslaw Zak, now 18 years of age, still improving, still getting good. 13 assists from that defence midfield position, which is a lot of assists to get 3 goals to his name. He's wanted by... It's Lech. Okay, I was worried that was going to be Saudi Arabia or PSG. Luckily for us, it is currently only Zek who are interested, and we should be good enough to just kind of fend off that interest. The final season of Goralski is also over, with 24 goals and 20 assists for the now 22-year-old, who doesn't have any caps. I'm so confused how this guy has no caps for Poland. He's got 6 under-21s caps as well, so he's not even getting into that squad, which I don't believe Poland are very good in this save. Goralski should be getting first-team appearances for them. Jan Kamishik playing as that striker, getting another ridiculous amount of goals. 31 in 29 league appearances, 48 in 47 in all competitions. Now 21, so he's going to be entering his final season locked into the starting 11 next season. Kamishik's been very good for the 3 seasons we've been playing him. He's scored stupid amounts of goals. What is that? 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 87 goals he scored across 3 seasons. That's madness. That is absolute madness. And finally, the risk that was Piotr Jasinski has done all right. 10 assists and 10 goals. Still only 16 years old. He's not really improving too much. His agility's gone up from 15 to 16, which is good, I guess. Technically, nothing's really changed, apart from apparently his heading has improved. I don't need a 5'5" winger to be trying to do headers with jumping reach of 2. Basically, you'd be better off not even trying to go for headers, mate. So far, unlike the Zak experiment, where I thought he was going to be good, I'm still backing myself and thinking Jasinski isn't going to be good. Because the coaches think he's amazing, and I'm just not seeing it myself. Looking at the squad as well, Sebastian Wilk obviously has played 1 season locked into the starting 11. He's played a few matches, just the 5 goals for Wilk. No one else really has made kind of big numbers. Wojciech has played quite a few. In fact, he's played 24 off the bench, which I imagine on the right-hand side. So yeah, he's been playing for Jasinski, which I'm kind of okay with that, although Wojciech I don't think is very good either. He's played a lot of football though. Stepien, I feel like should be getting more game time, but Kamishik is just better than him. Butcher, obviously, because we left that left wing slot open, did play a stupid amount of football. 51 appearances, 2 off the bench, 22 goals and 16 assists. I imagine he was definitely up there when it comes to scoring goals. Linus Valkvist was our 4th top goal scorer at 34 years of age, playing as a right back, scoring 12 goals, getting 11 assists. We've got Jasinski as well in 5th place with 10. Sorting the assists, Brzezowski even, has done very well, as he always does, in that left-back position with 25. Goralski with 20, Mucha with 16, Zak with 13, Cipriani getting 13 as well. So has he been playing a huge amount of football? Seems like he's probably been rotating with Valkvist. But also, am I imagining this, or is he not just a ridiculous footballer now? This was my theory, that he was just not good enough to get into the Bayern squad, but he's ridiculously good. And I think I was right. Cipriani's amazing, which means we're probably going to lose him at some point, aren't we? We've also got Palzewski, who's playing, I assume, as a centre-back, maybe even a defence midfielder by the looks of it, who seems to have got a lot of assists. He's playing as a defence midfielder, so he's got 10 assists and 6 goals. So it's probably been him and Zach in defence midfield, which is kind of confusing, but there we are. We are going to take a very quick look at the Polish national side, because I just want to see how many of our players are actually in the squad. So if we sort by starred players, we have got Baniak is in there, who's not technically ours at the moment. He's playing for Napoli. I say at the moment, he's not ours, is he? He plays for Napoli. He's obviously quite good. His contract up in 29 days. Interesting. Kostrobala as well, who's playing for Lechia on loan from Bayern, is obviously one of our former players. But that is it in the first team. We've got Brozowski and Palzewski as well in there, but obviously they did not come through our youth intakes. In the under-21s, though, we've got a lot. Bukowski, Kolodziej, Ginter, Saigan, Rydzak, and Jasinski all in the under-21s. Is the under-20s a thing? Is Damian Pelek is in there? He's not the one who's just got... He's the one that's just come through. I'm surprised that a player who's just come through the youth intake is already in the under-20 setup. We've got Kolapski, Andruski, and we've got 2 Marcel Andruskis. Andruskos, even. They're literally the same name, different position. So we've got 2 players with the same name, which is amazing. Manstrak as well is in there. So is this man's name. Can't really pronounce that, so we're not going to try. And Thomas Matajuk as well is also in there. Which again, for a player who's literally just come through the youth intake, that's impressive. I think Andrusko as well has just come through. The younger one, obviously. And also, in the under-18s, we've got Wojcicki, or Wojcicki? I'm not sure. Jakub, he's there. I do like Jakub. Jakub looks quite good, but I feel like, because he's in the under-18s and not in 19s, 20s, 21s, I feel like he's not very good. So that is going to do it then for Season 8. Season 9 means we'll be dropping 2 more of our regular starters from our locked-in 5 players. It means we have to pick a couple more new faces to make this team sheet up, and I probably need to make sure we don't lock in a centre-back and an attacking midfielder as well. So maybe next year is the new season when we have a goalkeeper locked into the starting 11. I feel like it's a terrible idea, though.